25 years ago, 34 men were charged after an investigation into public sex acts at the Village Mall restrooms. Now, St. John's Pride is calling for an apology from both government and the RNC over how that matter was handled. In 1993, NTV reporter Jim Toms got a tour of the bathrooms and where the surveillance cameras were hidden. This was part of a 3-month investigation stemming from a complaint involving an 11-year-old boy. St. John's Pride says there were better ways of handling the situation.
There's a number of ways outside of charges that the RNC could have conducted themselves and advised or just outright told these people to stop doing what they were doing.
Noah Davis Power says the RNC needs to apologize for how they did things. The outing of dozens of men, the ruined lives.
We want an apology. What happened to these men was wrong. The witch hunt that ensued from the accusations of pedophilia resulted in a big goose egg.
The RNC says they never named anyone from that time and those events, and they don't have to apologize.
Even though there was a person that challenged the charge in court and they were successful, there was at no time in court that the court ruled that the techniques that were used at the time were inadequate or inappropriate.
Police Chief Joe Boland says if they received the same complaint today, it would be handled the same way.
And I would assume today you got a similar complaint, you do the exact same thing.
Exactly. I mean, if we had a criminal act that was occurring, and in this case here, I know that there's been talk that, you know, that this was frivolous or that it was a mere annoyance of what happened at the Village Mall. Trust me that the acts that were committed there were sexually explicit.
Davis Power in St. John's Pride isn't willing to accept the police position. And they say with no RNC apology, police may not be welcome at this year's
Well, St. John's
Pride
Pride is in pieces tonight in a dispute over a police case from decades ago. Tonight, the man who said the police actions now deserve an apology has no regrets. NTV's Danielle Barron is live with that story. Danielle?
Lynn, Noah Davis Power is resigning as the head of St. John's Pride effective Saturday, acknowledging that his politics don't align with the organization. St. John's Pride is best known for organizing the annual Pride Parade, which draws hundreds each year. But behind all that glitter and rainbows, it's been a tumultuous few years for the organization.
And then there was one, and then there was one.
This isn't even the first time Noah Davis Power has come and gone from St. John's Pride. He was president in 2012 and stepped aside a year later, returning again in a leadership role this year. But as of Saturday, his position is once again vacant.
I was in the way. My views and my politics aren't coinciding with what a number of people are looking for. And that's it.
Davis Power believes the RNC and government should apologize for the way they handled a restroom sex ring involving gay men at the Village Shopping Center 25 years ago. And without an apology, he said they shouldn't participate in the annual Pride Parade.
I did not agree with. I didn't even know this was talked about on the board. Nobody had brought this up. Himself, anybody on the board. I had no idea. And I'm a law enforcement officer myself, and I definitely would not support that.
In total, 4 board members with St. John's Pride have quit, including Davis Power. There's just 1 remaining board member left.
I'm happy with my decision. I'm content with my decision. I get to spend more time with my dog and my partner now, so perfect.
You know, I was happy to go work with him and see what would happen and how do we get along as a new board. And actually, in fact, another member had resigned too for other issues. It seemed like, you know, he was the common denominator with all this.
So what does all of this mean for Pride Week and the annual Pride Parade? Well, the former board members say it will go ahead as scheduled in July, but first a new board must be elected, which should happen later this month. Lynn?
Thank you very much. Danielle Barron reporting live from downtown St. John's.
A crisis management team has been assembled at St. John's Pride as the organization deals with the fallout of board resignations. Members of the LGBTQ community will come together next week for an open dialogue in advance of electing a new board. NTV's Danielle Barron has the story.
The former chair of St. John's Pride admits his personal politics didn't align with the priorities of his other board colleagues, but says he has no regrets about asking the RNC and province to apologize for the way they handled a decades-old police investigation involving homosexual men.
Mr. Noah Davis Power just released information to the public without discussing with the board.
Paul Comden resigned in disagreement. 2 other members left for personal reasons, and Noah Davis Power himself left, he says, to allow the organization to rebuild.
Unfortunately, things got a bit out of hand this week, to say the least, and it did become about me, and that's not right. It shouldn't be. And it's then time to step aside, and that's what I'm doing.
Best known for organizing the annual Pride Parade, which draws hundreds, in recent years, St. John's Pride has had trouble attracting people to fill its volunteer board.
So do you think people will step up?
I hope so. History says otherwise.
Straight people, anybody. I think more people, new fresh faces need to come forward in the elections in the next couple of weeks and get their name out there and run.
Do you think under new leadership, would you consider rejoining?
Yeah, I'm giving it consideration.
Also considering one of the founding members of St. John's Pride and trans activist Jennifer McCreath.
I want to take steps to put good people in there who will do the right things and not the wrong things or the stupid things. And if that means me assembling a team, that's what I will do.
A new board at St. John's Pride is expected to be in place by March 25th, roughly 4 months before Pride Week. Danielle Barron, NTV News.